propaganda on the 2-month-long Doklam standoff. In the video, China has accused India of committing 7 sins. It features a Chinese actor in Sikh turban speaking in a mock Indian accent. The video has been met with bewilderment and anger on the Indian side of the border. Getting some reactions on the phone line. Let's take a listen in.
I think we have taken a very matured decision that we will not get provoked by the ridiculous and the claims and the type of propaganda which is coming from the Chinese side, and that's how we should behave. In any case, creating a hype over it will be of no use to either side. We are prepared, and we have been repeatedly saying that this particular problem can be resolved diplomatically by talks. You see, if you start increasing it and hyping the whole issue, there is a problem. There is a possibility of it degenerating into something which would not be good for the region and also for both countries.
Across to my colleague Ashish Singh joining us live with further details on this. Ashish, this video that has now come out on the Chinese state broadcaster Xinhua, racist to say the least, also in extremely poor taste, and shocking to say that this is supposed to be a mature Chinese government which comes out with this video to try and showcase what's really happening on the Doklam issue.
Well, obviously, the Chinese government is not behaving in a mature manner. Now, what we have been witnessing in the last 2 months, starting from the 3rd week of June, which started from the standoff, is not that shows that Chinese government wants any kind of de-escalation of the entire job that has been going on between India and China. Remember, the issue is only restricted to the Indo-Pacific control and the tri-junction point among India, China, and Iran. But where Chinese government is taking is expanding the issue of military domain, of the diplomatic domain, to media domain as well. And this is basically in military language called the psychological warfare, the PSYOP called, and that's what the Chinese government is doing. Now, this kind of video, it can easily be taken in a light note, but why be taken in a light note? One, video is the Chinese government it has top Chinese officials and the Chinese government to do this kind of video mocking the government and mocking every Indian. The second major issue with this kind of video is that it basically makes an supposedly Indian with curb and fear. So that it's has a racist touch to it as well, and that's this video is working down well with the although the Ministry of External Affairs has not reacted to this official. We have been told that the Indian government will have to have earlier stand of being mature, not to Chinese propaganda and the psychological unleashed by the military.
Right, Ashish, we're having issues with the audio line with you. We'll have to reconnect as we get more inputs from you on what this video really means. And of course, the way they have mocked the Indian side and the racism angle to it, also pretty evident in the way the Chinese actor is wearing a turban with facial hair. But we're opening up our telephone lines as well. The number is flashing on our screens, 01204369674. We urge you, the viewer, to pick up your phones and connect with us. Talk to us about how this video is now gone viral on Xinhua, which is a Chinese state-run broadcaster over there. Let's take a listen in to what these 7 sins Chinese media alleges are in the first place.
Fine. Together, guys. Let's now take a look what India has done during these 2 months, which in a nutshell is regarded as the 7 sins. On June the 18th, Indian border troops carrying weapons and driving bulldozers illegally crossed the delimited boundary into the undisputed Chinese territory. Yes, you heard it right. Driving bulldozers straight into your house without even knocking at the door. What kind of neighbor would that be? You may think Doklam is a disputed area, but the truth is both India and the international community have recognized the place as a part of China, according to the 1890 convention between Great Britain and China relating to Sikkim and Tibet. And the thing is, this exact convention is under the protection of international law. Didn't your mama tell you never break the law? This is kind of funny. India's been inventing various excuses to whitewash its illegal move. But first of all, you've got to make sure your excuses can hold water, dude. India's argued that China's building of roads would represent a significant change of status quo with serious security implications for India. Would you go and take it up when your neighbor's building a path in his garden?
He's building a path in his garden? I mean,
Well, this is most outrageous. We thought India would have been wiser after the first stupid excuse, but this time an attempt to justify its incursion in the name of protecting Bhutan.
don't move. This is Bhutan's home. I'm here protecting it.
Is this your home here?
No, not my home.
Are you seeking yes protection?
The Bhutanese authorities have clearly told Chinese officials that Doklam is not Bhutan's territory, and they're also confused by India's behavior. Well, I'm just wondering, how's it feel shooting your...
How low China can really stoop when the official broadcaster there of the state-run media house, which is Xinhua, releases this particular video, which is extremely amateur and silly to say the least. Let me go across to Major General S.P. Sinha joining us in the studio. Major General Sinha, thanks very much for coming in. Good afternoon to you. Your first thoughts when you look at this video, what comes to your mind?
China's strategic thinking is they followed 3 warfare approach. When I am talking of 3 warfare approach, it is media angle, psychological warfare, and legal warfare. This video that you are seeing is the one dimension of media warfare. And how do you resort to media warfare? You carry out such video recording and stupid recording to prove your point. You see, in psychological warfare, I will say, they keep coming out, the print media, that countdown has started. Now, Prime Minister India will be blamed if there are reverses to India. Correct. Prime Minister India is not worried about poor man. Even to the extent of Gorakhpur incident, that hospital incident. Can you imagine a country like China is trying to address one incident in a state of India, not complete India? So such psychological warfare China resorts to. The third dimension of this, this 3 warfare concept in Chinese is called San Zong Zanfa.
Okay.
This is the 3-angle approach they have. San Zong Zanfa.
Okay.
Military, media, psychological warfare, and legal warfare.
Okay.
Now coming to legal warfare. Legal warfare, they'll come out with 9, they will print maps. Then they'll come out that in 1210, 1220, Chinese king was ruling most of the parts of the world, and therefore legally it is our territory. Then they'll lay a claim on Doklam, and they say it is not Bhutan territory, it is Chinese territory. When the fact of the matter is that 24 rounds of talks have been held between Bhutan and China with regard to Doklam issue. I want to tell you one thing very frankly. China is a liar state, and I will give you a certain bundle of lies that China has been speaking.
Okay, so if they have come up with a video of 7 sins against India, what are these bundle of lies, Major General Sinha? Tell us.
I will tell you.
Yes.
Bundle of lies.
Yeah.
Firstly, China says...
Of 7 sins against India, what are these bundle of lies, Major General Silla? Tell us.
I will tell you.
Yes.
Bundle of lies.
Yeah.
Firstly, China says that they had informed the local commanders, Indian local commanders, with regard to construction of road.
Yeah.
White lie. Not done. Then, to India it says that Bhutan has withdrawn its troops and Bhutan has they have agreed that they have no claim on Doklam. The fact of the matter is that when Bhutanese certain soldiers tried to stop Chinese soldiers, Chinese soldiers overpowered them, pushed them, took them to their camp, and threatened them at the gunpoint that don't ever come back to Doklam.
Okay.
So, this is another lie. That means, he is saying Bhutan has no objection. To India, it says Bhutan has no objection.
Correct.
To Bhutan, it's saying that since we had informed the local commanders and Indian army people have not reacted, government has not reacted, that means they have accepted our claim that Doklam is our territory.
So these are 2 sins you've mentioned. What are the others?
Another I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That China says that Doklam issue is a settled issue, and Bhutan has accepted this fact that Doklam is a territory belonging to China. If it is a territory belonging to China, why till 2016, 24 rounds of talks were held? Why?
Absolutely.
Next, China says that it will go as per 1890 agreement.
That's right.
Convention.
That's right.
Then what about convention of 2012, Special Representative Convention? What about the convention of 1988 and 1989 with regard to Bhutan? So all these, you know, China and I think Pakistan both.
Okay. Well, you've made your point. There are a bundle of lies that we have to also expose of what Chinese have done when it comes to the Doklam issue. But I just want to bring our focus back to this particular video. And Ashish is still with us, my colleague. Ashish, let's take a look at what all they are saying in these so-called 7 sins, when of course, which is absolutely immature to say the least. Silly for a state like China to have come up with this video. Building a path in his garden. That's what China believes the Doklam issue really is. Trampling the international law. That's what China thinks India is doing. Bullying Bhutan. That's what the video states. But we know who bullied the Bhutanese army over there. We know who's trampling the international conventions of 1988, 89, 2012. And we know who's building a path. And that too not in a garden, but at a tri-junction, which is extremely strategically important to India. Ashish?
That's how the Chinese take things so lightly, and that this video is exactly an example of how they actually feel that everything they can deal with, say, talking at the international laws and a smaller country like Bhutan. Now, there are a couple of factual points here that are shown to our viewers. One, Bhutanese government in the last week of June, just a couple of days after, I remember when Indian Army Chief General Bipin Rawat, just a couple of days, some broke out. General Bipin Rawat handed in thick just to send a direct message to China that it localized phenomena. The Indian Army Chief is completely backing the ground. And this non-behavior that being portrayed from the Chinese side in Doklam against Bhutan not be tolerated. This is a brazen attitude which the Chinese government of Chinese army entered Sky Junction, started in the Bhutan area. Apart from that, what also must be kept in mind, Bhutan government on the third.
We're trying hard to get that audio link fixed with you, unfortunately not being able to comprehend much of what you're saying at this given point of time, but request you to stay with us while we get that line patched. Meanwhile, let me also take this opportunity of introducing Mr. Shilkant Sharma, former General Secretary of SAARC, joining us in the studio. Mr. Sharma, thank you very much for coming in this afternoon. I want to get an assessment of yours. When you saw this video first, this video on Xinhua, which is the Chinese state broadcaster over there, what was the first impression? What did you make of it?
You know, China think that they have arrived. They're big. They are rivaling US and on top of the ladder. But this video shows There's not much difference between what Xinhua says and what DPRK says, what North Korea says.
Okay.
The Xinhua and North Korea, there's so much similarity, you know, the same crudity, same grotesquerie, which North Korea specializes in, is now Xinhua's forte. This is grotesque, what they are trying to say.
Right.
And what is their purpose? The purpose, if the purpose is to mock at India, we are a society which is democratic. We mock at ourselves. We have all kinds of, you know, it's 125 crore people and more who constantly mock and jeer at each other. So by a mocking of a DPRK-like organization, to us, it doesn't make a difference.
Sure.
So if they think that they are going to do something. Now, as for their newfound clients in the West and their newfound proteges in Asia, whom they are giving money, or
yes.
Now, if they clap at it, let them clap. You know, you find whom they look at China's friends. Pol Pot of Cambodia, Butcher of Phnom Penh. That was China's great friend. To defend whom they invaded, obviously, Vietnam. And at that time, Hun Sen, who was then Cambodia's man, India supported Hun Sen. Today they have bought over Hun Sen and he's sitting there in their lap. Then who else they support? DPRK. And our great neighbor who's their all-brother friend. So this is China for you. And if Xinhua talks like that, we should not worry about it.
Okay. No, but the fact
They
that this
deserve the contempt.
But the fact that this media campaign of China is only getting louder and shriller, you know, you've heard even what Global Times had to say very recently about sending ultimatums. The only issue here is, Mr. Sharma, that these agencies, be it Xinhua or be it the newspaper Global Times, these are actually state-run. Does this reflect how the government of China is actually taking this issue? Because this video shows it in very poor light and shows that this is an extremely light issue being dealt with no seriousness at all.
You know, what government of China thinks and what they want to say, one should see what their official spokesman says and what their official comments have been so far. Now, mercifully, they don't seem to show that vitriol. But since the other media agencies are also government controlled.
That's right.
And since there is a uniformity of view in all through China's media, which is very contrasted with our media, where we have
because it's democratic, because it's open.
We have all kinds of views. We have even diametrically opposite views. I mean, mercifully, General Saab and I maybe have a similar view, but you might have another person here
who might have a different view.
View.
Well, that's the beauty of democracy.
But this is how we are.
Yes.
So the point is that why this? The most puzzling point about China is that why is...
What's the objective?
Why is it trying to implore India towards belligerence, despite consistent and very steady effort by India to look for a diplomatic solution? And so why are they doing it? And for us to also second guess is pointless, because so far China, whatever they have said, they, as General Saab was mentioning some things here, they have been quoting. But what we have been doing for the last 20, 30 years in terms of CBMs, they have suddenly stopped talking about it.
Absolutely.
So why? Why have they stopped talking about it?
Okay, we have to talk about this in further detail. I'm going to just request you to stay with us, Mr. Sharma and Major and Sinha, because the Chinese media has released a racist video mocking India over propaganda on the 2-month-long Doklam standoff. In the video, China has accused India of committing what they call as 7 sins. It features a Chinese actor in a Sikh turban mocking the Indian accent. The video has been met with bewilderment and anger, but naturally on the Indian side.
Fine. Together, guys. Let's now take a look what India has done during this 2 months, which in a nutshell is regarded as the 7 sins. On June the 18th, Indian border troops carrying weapons and driving bulldozers illegally crossed the delimited boundary into the undisputed Chinese territory. Yes, you heard it right. Driving bulldozers straight into your house without even knocking at the door. What kind of neighbor would that be?
To open this up for further debate, joining me at the moment, I have with me in the studio Mr. Ashilkant Sharma, former General Secretary of SAARC, and we also have Major General S.P. Sinha joining us in the studio. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming in. You just heard that video in which that anchor said, what kind of neighbor do we have? Today, I want to ask you this question, Major General Sinha. What kind of neighbor are we dealing with who wants to have such a video and try and showcase what's happening in the Doklam issue between India and China, trying to make light of it with such a silly video that is going viral in China? Major General Sinha, what kind of a neighbor are we dealing with?
Stupid, rogue, idiotic, and it is our bad luck. It is most unfortunate that in this world there are 3 rogue countries. Third I would not like to name, and first 2 are our neighbors, Pakistan and China. It is a bad luck. If we had given the choice, we would have never hoped for such stupid neighbors.
Okay, well that's the first thought. That's your first thought on this video. I just want to get a sense from Mr. Sharma as well. The first thought, first instance when you see and look at this video. And it's run by none other than the state broadcaster in China, Xinhua.
Ignore, because it's below. And I must tell you that, as I said earlier also, had it been North Korea, we would have understood. But Xinhua is a Chinese agency, which we have all people who are interested in China have followed with a lot of interest and care over the last half century. But Xinhua has stooped down to that level. It shows,
immaturity.
Yes.
It completely lacks maturity, and also the fact they're making light of such an important issue, a standoff that India and China are dealing with for the last over 55 days, but there is no backing off. Let me just go back to Major General Sinha on this. I just want to focus a few more issues in this particular video. A, they're mocking the Sikh community in this video. B, they're making these false allegations of what they call as 7 sins. Let me just tell you some of the statements that are there in this video. They say that they are building a path in the garden. They say India is trampling on international law. They say that India is bullying Bhutan. Now put this into perspective, Major General Sinha. Who has bullied Bhutan? Which army was actually sent back to the camps by Chinese army? Who is trampling the international law? There are conventions of 1999, 1998. And who is building a path in the garden? Which garden are we talking about? That is a tri-junction between India, China and Bhutan.
Mr. Akshay, let's talk of the crux issues. What is the crux? Doklam is whose territory? There is no doubt it belongs to Bhutan. A. B. In that region, in Doklam area, next to Zompari Bridge, China wants to construct a road with the aim to extend its dagger towards its northeast states. When Bhutan raises voice, China resorts to physical pressure and bullying. And now, 1949, there is a special friendship treaty between Bhutan and India.
Right.
How can we disown? If a bully is trying to bully my younger brother, and my younger brother says, elder brother, please help me, what do? I keep quiet and accept the nuisance being perpetuated by China?
Yes, India is only honoring that treaty.
Absolutely, absolutely. So 1949 special friendship treaty, which says that defense and foreign affairs and territorial security integrity of Bhutan, we stand guarantee. We are just reacting as per our friendship treaty.
Absolutely.
So who is bullying whom?
Absolutely. Just one moment. Let me just take that across to Mr. Sharma as well. Mr. Sharma, it is clear that the executive and the legislative of Bhutan has time and again reiterated that Doklam is one of the disputed territories. It does not belong to China. But in China's propaganda, Chinese propaganda is that Doklam is a part of China and they can go ahead and build the road, rejecting the claims of the country involved here, which is Bhutan. And like Major General Sinha said, we have a treaty with them. We will go to the raid because we signed that with them in 1949. So clearly China, of course, is trying to cover up, shield Mr. Sharma, and trying to lie on the international conventions that are there in front of it.
You know, the thing is like this, that who was building a road there? Unilaterally, China.
Right.
Who was preventing the building of the road? Bhutan.
Right.
And what was the basis for Bhutan's preventing? Because that was a disputed area, which is under negotiation for last several rounds, the tri-junction.
Correct.
And China is trying to say, no, it is not disputed, it is our area.
Correct.
So, this is the lie.
Yeah.
And they are trying to propaganda, resort to propaganda to make it sound like Goebbels' truth.
Right.
You see? Now, second point is, in that whole area of the border, you have had CBMs. India and China have been engaged in CBMs.
Correct.
For the last 20 years, almost 93, 96, 99, 2005, you know, more than 25 years. China doesn't talk of CBMs at all. China doesn't refer to those CBMs. Now, we know that in situations of tension, CBMs are helpful in removing the, in bringing the atmosphere to calm.
You know, just to take it forward, you mentioned CBMs. We've seen flag meets are not taking place. China was not a part of that Independence Day meet. They skipped that.
That's
so of course,
of
course, there are several issues here where China is trying to escalate the situation. But let me also ask you. Independence Day meet, they skipped that. So of course, there are several issues here where China is trying to escalate the situation. But let me also ask you, the propaganda that is being built by the Chinese in the media. Now, be it this particular video that's come in Xinhua, which is a Chinese-run agency, or the Global Times, and the kind of posturing that they are doing, is it only, you believe, Mr. Sharma, for the internal politics? Because we understand that in the month of November, there is congressional election going to take place in China. Do you think this is for the galleries? And even if it is, look at what cost of what China is doing and the kind of impact it's going to be having on relations between India and China.
You see, China's society is such that they have switch off, switch on. I mean, the whole mass reaction can be switched on. So, supposing when they decided long back that, okay, let's be good to India, suddenly there is switch on smile. So, the great man smiles and then Chinese begin to smile. Now, we thought in 20th century, in 21st century, in circa 2017, things are different. But the way the Chinese media is reacting and the way their domestic opinion is
absolutely
being
just highlighting the immaturity that China is dealing is right now dealing with the entire Doklam issue.
Not immaturity, but it is also the same that nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed in China.
60s China, which is coming back.
Yes, Major Nansina,
Mr. Akshay, you mentioned about immaturity of China in having video of this kind. It is a manifestation of a sick and frustrated country which is resorting to such cheap idiocracies.
Right.
And I want to tell you one thing. I want to explain to you the why Doklam issue. Why Doklam issue. I'll explain to you the rationale. In 2012, when President Xi took over as the president of China, he gave in one of the exhibitions, he gave a grand vision.
Okay.
Revival of old glory.
Okay.
And for that, what was the root? Root was economic growth. China is suffering from ills of overcapacity. So what do? You have to sell your products. So what do? You make road. For that, you make BRI. You make OBOR. You make CPC. And here India takes a tough stand. So the whole thing comes to a grinding halt.
Right.
So your whole dream is getting shattered by one country whom China thought can bulldoze. When they bulldozed America in South China Sea, they thought if they have bulldozed America, what is India? But they forgot that India of today is not India of 62.
Absolutely.
And therefore, this manifestation of the mischief of Doklam is a manifestation of a sick mind. And second thing I want to say.
Quickly, sir. I'll take a break. Quickly.
10 seconds. China believes 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Right.
You give some relief and then you say, okay, we have agreed, we are friends. Again, 2 steps back. So at the end of 6 months, you are back to you have achieved your original aim of walking 2 steps.
All right.
That is the game that China plays.
All right. So we'll have to leave it at that for a moment, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me.